Hey everyone, and welcome to the video. Before we get started, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out and makes sure you never miss any new content. Thank you for the support, and now let us jump right in. Lagos, a city of dreams, where the rich thrive and the poor struggle in the shadows. Here, in the heart of affluence, a young woman named Adana sits in the company of her well-dressed friends. She is elegant, confident, and untouchable, a daughter of wealth and prestige. Her laughter rings out, light and carefree, as she flips her long, sleek hair over her shoulder. Dressed in designer clothing, adorned with the latest accessories, she is a vision of luxury. To her, the past is nothing more than a distant nightmare, erased by the comfort of riches. Inside the cafe, the polished marble floors gleam under the soft golden light. The scent of imported coffee and freshly baked croissants fills the air. Young men in tailored suits and women in extravagant outfits sip on overpriced drinks, their conversations dripping with entitlement. Adana leans back in her seat, scrolling through her phone, her diamond-studded bracelet catching the light. Around her, her friends whisper and giggle, indulging in the pleasures that only money can afford. But then a shift. A presence out of place. Unwanted. The air grows heavy as the cafe door creaks open. A frail, elderly woman steps inside. Her dress is faded and torn, her feet bare and covered in dust from the unforgiving streets. The years of suffering are carved into the deep lines on her face, yet there is warmth in her eyes. A mother's love unyielding, unforgotten. She stands at the entrance, her breath uneven, her heart pounding against her fragile chest. She hesitates for a moment, then gathers her strength and steps forward. Her tired eyes scan the room, and then they find her. Her daughter. Her Adana. A trembling smile spreads across her face, her lips quivering with unshed tears. With a heart full of longing, she moves toward the table, each step slow, unsure. And then, in a voice soft yet filled with immeasurable love, she speaks. Adana, my daughter, it's me, your mother. The world around them fades into the background. The cafe grows still, the once lively chatter replaced by stunned whispers. Adana freezes, her perfectly manicured fingers tightening around her phone. Her breath catches in her throat, her heart pounding with something unfamiliar, something dangerously close to fear. The cafe patrons turn, their eyes flickering between the two women, the radiant, wealthy socialite and the frail, destitute beggar who dares to call her daughter. A beat of silence, then another, and then laughter. It starts as a murmur among Adana's friends, low, mocking chuckles that quickly grow into full-blown amusement. They exchange glances, their eyes filled with disbelief and cruelty. Adana's chest tightens. Heat rises to her cheeks. Embarrassment. Anger. Disgust. She pushes back her chair abruptly, the sound cutting through the cafe like a blade. Her lips curl, her eyes dark and cold as she glares at the woman before her. Then, with a voice laced with venom, she spits out the words that will haunt her for the rest of her life. You are not my mother. Stop following me, you dirty old woman. A gasp ripples through the room. The cafe falls into stunned silence. Even her friends, who moments ago had been laughing, now watch with uneasy glances. But Enkay, she does not move. The words pierce through her like a dagger, each syllable cutting deep, deeper than any wound the world has ever inflicted on her. Her lips part, trembling, her body swaying as though struck by an invisible force. Her eyes, once filled with hope, now glisten with tears. I raised you, my child. Please don't do this. Her voice is barely a whisper, a plea laced with heartbreak. But Adana does not hear the pain. She does not see the years of sacrifice, the sleepless nights, the hunger endured so she could have a better life. She sees only an inconvenience, a shameful reminder of the past she has worked so hard to erase. Her fingers tighten around the bottle of water on the table. Without a second thought, she lifts it and throws it. The bottle crashes to the floor at Enkay's feet, the water splashing onto her torn dress. The sound echoes through the cafe, followed by the cruel laughter of Adana's friends. Enkay flinches, staring at the wet stain spreading across the fabric. A moment of silence. Then a sharp gasp. Her chest tightens. Her breathing grows shallow. Pain, sharp and unforgiving, grips her heart. She clutches her chest, her body shaking, her knees growing weak beneath her. And then she falls. A collective scream erupts from the cafe as she collapses onto the cold, marble floor. Her frail body lies motionless, her fingers twitching slightly before going still. The world slows. The air becomes heavy. A second stretches into eternity. Adana's breath catches. For the first time, fear grips her heart. Real fear. Her friends stare, horror flickering in their eyes. The laughter dies. The weight of what has just happened sinks in. And for the first time in years, Adana hears it. A voice, echoing in the depths of her soul. My child, please don't do this. There was a time before the city, before the riches, before the arrogance. There was a time when Adana was just a little girl, barefoot in the soil of a village that loved her. Mama Nkechi was a woman of little means, but of great heart. A widow who worked tirelessly from the break of dawn to the dead of night, just to give her daughter a chance at life. She sold fruits in the market, carrying heavy baskets on her back, her arms strong from years of labor. She mended old clothes for a few coins, fetching water from the distant stream to earn extra money. And when all else failed, she went to bed hungry so that Adana could have the last morsel of food. Eat, my child, she would say, placing the small portion of yam into Adana's tiny hands. Mama is not hungry. But Adana knew. She always knew. She would stare at her mother's sunken eyes, at the way her ribs pressed against her thin, dark skin. And though she was young, she made a silent promise. One day, Mama will never suffer again. Mama Nkechi would stay up late at night, her fingers moving carefully over old books by the flickering light of a lantern. She would trace the words with her calloused fingers, whispering their meanings into Adana's ears. You will be great, my daughter. You will not sell fruits like me. You will know big English. You will wear fine clothes. You will go to the city and shine. And Adana, curled up beside her mother, would smile sleepily, dreaming of a future where their lives would change. She was just a child. She did not know that dreams often come with a price. The peaceful village is suddenly interrupted by the sound of a roaring engine. A sleek black Mercedes-Benz rumbles down the narrow, dusty path, its tires kicking up a cloud of red dust. The villagers stop what they are doing, their eyes widening in shock. Such cars do not come here. Not to a place like this. Inside the car sits a man. Chief Odogwu. A man of power. A man of wealth. A man whose name alone sends shivers down spines. The car comes to a halt. A uniformed driver rushes out to open the door, and from the vehicle emerges the chief. A man dressed in rich flowing Agba, his fingers heavy with gold rings, his eyes hidden behind dark glasses. He walks with a presence that demands attention, his cane tapping against the ground with every step. Mama Nkechi clutches Adana's hand tightly as the man approaches, her heart pounding. She knows men like this. They do not come to villages without reason. Good afternoon, my people. Chief Odogwu's voice booms, smooth and powerful. He scans the gathered crowd before his gaze lands on Mama Nkechi. And then on Adana. He studies her, his lips curling into an approving smile. You must be Nkechi, he says, his voice honeyed but laced with something else, something unreadable. And this must be your daughter. Mama Nkechi does not respond immediately. She tightens her grip on Adana's shoulder. Yes, sir, she finally says, her voice cautious. This is my daughter, Adana. Chief Odogwu nods, his gaze never leaving the little girl. She is a bright one, I can see. Beautiful. Intelligent. A child like this does not belong in the dust of a village. She deserves the city. A good education. A fine life. Mama Nkechi's throat tightens. She has heard such promises before. Rich men who take village girls to the city, only for them to be lost in the shadows. She is fine here, Mama Nkechi says, her voice firmer now. But Chief Odogwu chuckles, shaking his head. Nkechi, do not be foolish. Do you want her to suffer like you? Do you want her to grow old selling fruits in the sun? Look around you. This place will never give her the future she deserves. But I can. His words are like a slow poison, slipping into Mama Nkechi's mind. She turns to look at Adana, at her small, eager face. A child full of dreams, of hunger for knowledge, of a future brighter than the sun. The struggle, the hunger, the suffering, it flashes before her eyes. What if he is right? What if this is her only chance to give Adana a better life? Her heart battles against her mind. The mother in her screams no. The desperate woman in her whispers yes. Chief Odogwu sees the hesitation. He presses forward. She will go to the best school. She will eat the best food. I will raise her as my own. A pause. Then the final dagger. And she will never know poverty again. Silence. Mama Nkechi's hands tremble. She looks at Adana, at her bright, curious eyes staring up at her. Tears gather in her own eyes as she kneels before her daughter, gripping her small hands. My child, do you want to go? Adana's voice is barely a whisper. Will you come with me, Mama? Mama Nkechi's heart shatters. No, my child. But you will go, and you will be great. A single tear slips down her cheek. And you will never forget me. Adana hesitates, then nods. The decision is made. Chief Odogwu smiles triumphantly. Mama Nkechi watches as Adana is led away, her small hands slipping from hers. The car door closes. The engine roars to life. And as the car disappears into the horizon, leaving behind only a trail of dust, Mama Nkechi falls to her knees. A silent sob rips through her body. The villagers watch, but no one dares to speak. Because they know. They know that she has just made the hardest sacrifice a mother can make. But what she does not know, what she cannot see, is that this is not the beginning of Adana's greatness. It is the beginning of her pain. Lagos, a city of dreams, a city of wealth, and a city of forgotten pasts. Here, in a grand mansion hidden behind towering iron gates, a young girl steps out of a black SUV. Her small feet touch the polished marble driveway. Her eyes, once wide with innocence, now reflect something else, uncertainty. Adana. But that name is no longer hers. She is led inside by stern-looking servants, her tiny hand clutched tightly by a woman in flowing gold attire. Madame Ibub, the wife of Chief Odogwu. A woman of beauty, wealth, and power. But beneath the silk and diamonds lies something else. A coldness. A sharpness like the blade of a knife. She stares down at the child before her, eyes scanning her as one would inspect a piece of merchandise. You are thin, she says, her voice void of warmth. Unpolished. Untrained. That will change. Adana flinches. But before she can speak, Madame Ibub kneels, gripping her chin between her manicured fingers. From this day forward, you are not Adana, she whispers, her breath cold against the child's skin. That name belongs to the poor, to the forgotten. You are now Danielle. A new name. A new identity. A lie. A childhood in chains. She struggles at first, crying at night in the massive, unfamiliar bedroom, longing for her mother's embrace. But the warmth of home is long gone. Her old clothes are burned, replaced with expensive gowns, pearls, and shoes that sparkle like diamonds. She is taught the ways of the elite, how to walk, how to talk, how to eat without making a sound. She is forbidden from speaking her native tongue, punished when she slips and calls out, Mama! Every trace of her past is erased. And the most painful lesson of all, the poor are beneath us, Madame Ibub says one evening at the dinner table, her eyes cold as she sips wine from a crystal glass. Few years later, her parents conceived, and they started mistreating her. Danielle, now older, hesitates. But, Mama Nkechi. A sharp slap cuts her off. The room falls silent. Madame Ibub leans in, voice low and filled with quiet fury. That woman abandoned you. She left you to rot in a village while she ran away like a coward. We saved you. We gave you life. Adana's heart pounds. The words hit like a storm, twisting and breaking something inside her. She left me? Her voice trembles. Madame Ibub smiles. Yes, my dear. And she never looked back. Something shifts inside Adana. Pain turns to anger. Anger turns to resentment. And resentment becomes hatred. And so, the girl from the village dies. And in her place, Danielle Odogwu is born. Danielle grows into a stunning young woman, admired by many, feared by more. She walks with elegance, speaks with power, and carries herself like a queen. She no longer remembers the taste of roasted corn, the scent of the village air, or the calloused hands of a mother who once held her. She sees beggars on the street and sneers. They are lazy. She watches market women and laughs. They are nothing. She believes she is above them all. She is rich. She is powerful. She is untouchable. She is not the daughter of a poor village woman. Or so she thinks. Mama Nkechi. After years of searching, years of begging, years of suffering, she has found her daughter. Her Adana. Her heart pounds as she stares at the towering gates, at the house so grand, so different from the world she once knew. But no matter how far her daughter has risen, she is still her child. Still her blood. She steps forward, her frail fingers gripping the iron bars. A security guard approaches. His face hardens. Who are you? He demands. Mama Nkechi swallows, her voice barely above a whisper. I am looking for my daughter. The guard scoffs. Another beggar. Madam, there is no one here for you. Leave before I call the police. Mama Nkechi's heart clenches. Please just let me see her. Just once. The guard hesitates. But then, before he can send her away, a voice. Sharp. Cold. Familiar. What is going on here? The rain slows. The world holds its breath. And from the mansion steps Danielle Odogwu. No longer a child. No longer the little girl who once clung to her mother's wrapper. A woman, dressed in silk, diamonds sparkling at her neck. A presence so powerful, so distant, that she hardly seems real. Mama Nkechi's eyes widen, tears spilling down her face. Adana, my child. Silence. Danielle stares. Her heart pounds. A feeling, foreign and unwelcome, stirs in her chest. And then, she remembers the lessons. She remembers the slap. She remembers the lie. She remembers who she is now. Her lips curl in disgust. Who are you? Mama Nkechi stumbles back. No, my child. Tears mix with the rain. Adana, it's me. Your mother. I raised you, my child. I. A sharp, bitter laugh. You. Danielle sneers. You are not my mother. My mother would never abandon me. Mama Nkechi shakes her head violently. I never abandoned you. They took you from me. I searched for you. I never stopped searching. But Danielle does not listen. She does not want to listen. She turns sharply, eyes burning with contempt. Take this woman away from my house. The guards grab Mama Nkechi, dragging her back. She kicks, screams, begs. Adana. My child. Please. But Danielle does not turn back. She does not see the pain in her mother's eyes. She does not hear the breaking of a heart that has loved her for too long. She walks away. And as the gates slam shut, sealing the past behind them, a single tear slides down Mama Nkechi's face. And her body, weak, exhausted, finally gives in. She clutches her chest. And she falls. Rain lashes against the glass windows of a grand penthouse, high above Lagos. Inside, in a lavishly furnished bedroom, Danielle Odogwu tosses and turns on a massive silk-covered bed, sweat glistening on her forehead despite the cold air from the air conditioner. She had won. She had erased the past. She had shut the door on the woman who dared to call herself her mother. And yet, the past is not so easily buried. But then all the event of the day repeated again in her dream. She is standing in a familiar place. A village. The air is thick with the scent of burning wood, of earth after rain. She looks down, she is barefoot. The soft, wet soil clings to her feet. And ahead, just beyond the shadows of the trees, stands a figure. A woman. Her clothes are torn, her body thin and frail. Her back is turned, but Danielle knows. She knows before the woman even speaks. Adana, my child. Danielle's breath catches in her throat. Mama Nkechi. The woman turns slowly, her face hidden by the shadows. But Danielle can hear her breathing, ragged, broken. Then suddenly, a flash of lightning, and the woman's face is right in front of hers. Pale, hollow-eyed, streaked with tears and pain. Dead. Danielle screams. She jolts upright in bed, gasping for air. But the nightmare does not leave her. Because even as she sits there, chest rising and falling in panic, she hears it. A whisper. You are not my mother. Her own words. Echoing. Mocking. She clutches her head, shaking, trembling. The room is silent again. But she knows she is not alone. The next day, Danielle walks into her office, dressed in an expensive designer suit, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor. She adjusts her sunglasses, forcing herself to shake off the unease from the night before. She is Danielle Odogwu. She does not get scared. But the world does not wait for her confidence to return. Her secretary approaches hesitantly, hands shaking as she holds out a file. Madam, there is a problem. Danielle snatches the file, flipping it open. The numbers don't make sense. Losses. Millions gone overnight. Her empire, built on cold ambition, is crumbling. What is this nonsense? She snaps. But the secretary only stammers, unable to explain. Then her phone rings. She answers sharply. What? A cold voice on the other end. Miss Odogwu, your investment deal has been revoked. Your accounts are frozen. We will no longer be doing business with you. Click. The call ends. Danielle stares at the phone, her heart pounding. This cannot be happening. Not to her. Betrayal. That evening, Danielle storms into an upscale restaurant where her so-called friends are gathered, laughing over glasses of expensive champagne. She slams her handbag onto the table, making them jump. You all knew, didn't you? She spits. You knew my company was collapsing, and none of you said a word. The friends exchange glances. Then one of them, Amara, the most elegant of the group, leans back with a smirk. Danielle, she says smoothly. Business is business. You fell and we moved on. That's how the game works. Danielle's stomach twists. I made you. I brought you into this circle. Amara shrugs. And now you're out. The others laugh. Danielle grips the edge of the table, her nails digging into the glass surface. Her hands are trembling. No. No, no, no. She is not losing everything. She won't. Then, she sees it. Behind Amara, sitting at an empty table in the far corner of the restaurant. A woman, dressed in rags. Staring. The world slows. Danielle's breath catches in her throat. Mom Nkechi. Her eyes are dull, hollow, filled with pain. And yet, she is smiling. A slow, knowing smile. Danielle stumbles back, knocking over a glass. Her friends blink in confusion. Danielle, what's wrong with you? She looks back at the corner. The chair is empty. The woman is gone. Danielle swallows hard. She is losing her mind. The haunting. Danielle walks past a mirror, and instead of her own reflection, she sees Mama Nkechi staring back, her lips trembling, her eyes filled with sorrow. She wakes up at night to hear distant cries, Mama Nkechi's voice whispering her name. She tries to drown herself in parties, alcohol, luxury. But no matter where she turns, she sees her mother's face. In the crowd. In the shadows. In her dreams. She screams at her staff, fires people at random, but they too start whispering, saying she is cursed, saying the spirits of the abandoned do not rest. Danielle can no longer ignore it. Her life is unraveling. She is haunted, not just by the past, but by the consequences of her cruelty. She thought power made her untouchable. She thought wealth erased all sins. But some sins demand justice. Adana, now broken and desperate, decides to seek out the mother she rejected. She goes back to the cafe where she last saw her, but Mama Nkechi is gone. She visits the village and learns that Mama Nkechi fell sick after the incident and is on her deathbed. Adana rushes to her, sobbing, Mama, please forgive me. Mama Nkechi, weak and frail, smiles. I never stopped loving you, my child. She forgives Adana, but moments later, she breathes her last. Danielle's eyes, once filled with ambition, now reflect sorrow and determination. She rises, her movements deliberate, as she prepares to confront the past she had long denied. She knew all along that her mother didn't abandon her, but she had chose to believe what she believed. She had chose wealth. She couldn't go back to a poor mother. She couldn't be associated with poverty. She was afraid that her friends will mock her. Now everyone have left her, the wealthy parents that lied to her and her friends. Even her biological mother have left her to the land of no return. In the heart of the village, Adana mourned the loss of her mother, Mama Nkechi. The weight of her past actions bore heavily upon her soul, each tear a testament to her regret. The village women enter the hut, their expressions a blend of sympathy and solemn duty. They begin the traditional preparations for Mama Nkechi's burial, washing and dressing her in fine clothes, a ritual honoring her journey to the ancestors. In Igbo culture, death is not an end but a transition. The community gathers to perform Ikwa Oziu, celebrating the life of the departed and ensuring their safe passage to the spirit world. Adana watches, her eyes reflecting a deep sorrow. She stands and approaches the women, her voice trembling. Adana, please let me help. It's the least I can do for my mother. The women nod, allowing her to participate in the rites. Together, they adorn Mama Nkechi with beads and ornaments, symbols of respect and love. Through these sacred rites, Adana sought to mend the bond she had once severed, honoring her mother in death as she had failed to do in life. The community's gaze bore into Adana, a silent acknowledgement of the pain she had caused, but also of the path she now chose to walk. As the coffin is lowered into the ground, Adana steps forward, clutching a small, worn cloth, a piece of her mother's wrapper. She kneels beside the grave, tears streaming down her face. Adana, Mama, I failed you. I forgot where I came from, who I am. But I promise, from this moment, I will honor your memory. I will dedicate my life to those you loved, the people of this village. The villagers watch, their expressions softening, whispers of forgiveness weaving through the crowd. In her mother's resting place, Adana found a new purpose, a chance to redeem herself by serving the community she had once abandoned. True to her word, Adana transformed her sorrow into action, creating a haven for the less fortunate, a beacon of hope in her mother's name. As she walks through the center, greeting villagers and assisting where needed, a tug on her dress catches her attention. She looks down to see a little girl with bright eyes and a shy smile. Mom Nkechi said you must never forget again, little girl said. Adana gasped softly, her heart pounding. She kneels to the girl's level, searching her face. What did you say, dear? She asked. But the girl giggles and runs off, disappearing into the crowd. Adana stands, her eyes scanning the bustling center, but the child is nowhere to be seen. In that fleeting moment, Adana felt her mother's presence, a gentle reminder of the promise she had made. And she promised herself never to forget her promise again. I will never forget again, Mama. I promise.